Ciao ragazzi and welcome back to my channel. Today facciamo il pane nel forno. We're going to make bread, but very simple way to make bread. Actually, I have to say a few words about this. There are different ways to make bread. There are different techniques to make bread. So I'm going to show you one version today. This is probably the shortest version that I can think of to make bread at home, but yet with a very good result. I will make probably more videos. Actually, I will make more videos about other techniques to make bread. The difference is that you will have a different result. They're just different. I don't think one is better than another. It just depends on your taste, right? Who knows, by the time you watch this video, I might have already posted other recipes about other type of breads. So again, keep that in mind, and with that, let's get started. So as you can see, we only need 4 ingredients: flour, water, yeast and salt. Now for the flour, I'm using the all-purpose flour. You can use pretty much any flour you want. Again, you will get different results. But I, just try different ones if you like. Otherwise, start with all-purpose flour. I'm going to put in the screen the right amounts in cups, grams, and ounces, because I know everybody use different type of measurement. Okay, with that, let's do it. All right, first thing, we want to mix the yeast with the flour. And then the salt. Doesn't really matter which one you will go first. And then just mix them up a little bit. Alright, then in a mixing bowl, pour the water. And then add some of the flour. And start mixing. You can use pretty much any tool you want. I'm not going to use a fork. It's actually good enough, but if you prefer a spoon, you can use a spoon, you can use a spatula, whatever you have or you feel comfortable with. Now you can actually do the opposite. You can actually add the water little by little in the flour. It doesn't really matter, either way is fine. Okay, when you see that it's almost like very dry, go ahead and put this on the side. Put a little flour here on the table or whatever you're using. And now we're going to work with our hands a little bit. Alright, so now what we want to do is, very gently start working a little bit the dough. What you might want to do is to keep the left hand side kind of on the side, and then have the right hand side do the work. So you go this way, right? Of course, if you are left handed, you can do the opposite. This is a process that should only take a few minutes. Alright, now let's put some flour into this other bowl, and let's put this guy in here. Now you may notice that the dough is not shiny at all, which is totally fine. This actually is the way it's supposed to be. So yeah, don't worry if it's like all this way. It's, again, this is the way it's supposed to be, so it's perfect. Now what we're going to do is we're going to cover it up. Alright, now let rest for about 45 minutes and then I'll show you the next step. Alright, it's been about 45 minutes. You can tell that the dough has already raised a little bit. So now what we want to do is move this one on the side for a second. take some flour, just put it here on the table, and now with the help of this guy we're going to transfer the dough on the table, and then just make sure you have some flour on your hands. Now what we want to do is to just give some energy to this dough, right? So what we want to do is to just, either you can just fold in this way and then again, or you can just use like before, with your hand, going this way. So what we're doing basically here is two things. One is to give the dough some air, but also to kind of, give it a little bit of energy. Alright, pretty good enough. So now what we want to do for the next phase, this on the side. So let's take another little bowl, and we want to use a cotton cloth. Just put this right here and put some flour in it. We are going to see, this is, let's say, the more nice part of the dough, but we want to put the nice part on the dough on the bottom and leave this part on the top. The reason is because we are going to flip this later in the pan, which I'll show you later. So now what we want to do, put a little bit more flour here on the top. Now we want to cover this and let it rest for about 2 hours in a warm area, and I'll see you in a bit. Alright, it has been about 1.5 hours now, so for the next half an hour we need to prepare the oven. We need to put this guy right here, this is a Dutch oven, into the oven at 475 Fahrenheit. So this needs to be very hot before we're going to put the dough inside. If you don't have something of this nature, you can use a regular pan, or well, regular depends. A pan that basically can take a very high heat that does not have any plastic around, because otherwise it's going to melt. So again, ideally is that you have a Dutch oven. If not, just use another pan with the lid on that you can put in the oven at high temperature that has no plastic around. Alright, here it is. It's been a couple hours now, so let's have a look at the dough. Look, nicely, it's been probably double. This is what you want, right? So again, it might depends on the temperature of your house or your room or where you put it. It might take, about 2 hours. It can take a little longer, a little less. So this is, the little bubble right here. We can see them. It's perfect. It's what we want. So now we have to take the Dutch oven from the oven, which is very hot. So be very careful, and then I'll show you what we can do. All right, this is the Dutch oven that's been in the oven for about half an hour at 475 Fahrenheit. So it's very, very hot. So be very careful. So now what we do is we take the bread and we're going to flip it inside, just like that. We're going to make a little incision inside, and then we can just put, do an X. This will help to get the bread expand, but also give a nice shape to the bread at the end. Alright, now what we do, we put the lid on, and we're going to put this in the oven for about 20 minutes, and then we're going to take the lid off and let it cook more. Alright, it has been 20 minutes, so let's go ahead and get rid of the lid. And now we're going to close and let it cook for another at least 10-15 minutes or longer. Really depends how strong your oven is. Just keep an eye on it. It might take a little bit longer if your oven is not very strong. And here it is. Now, see the bottom? This is pretty much the noise that you want to hear. Means that the bread is pretty good. And now let's cut it. And voila, look at this, beautiful. You see how compact this is? Again, with this method, this is the result that you will get. If you want a more, let's say with more air pockets inside, there's a different techniques which I'm going to do next. Again, maybe by the time you watch this video, I already will have that version out. With that, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, give me a like, maybe share it with your friends and family. And with that, I'll see you next time. Ciao!